Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Slam Dunk Sports Cards Podcast. Today, we're going to be having an interesting conversation about silver prisms versus base prisms and which are better investment for you. Now, first thing we got to get out of the way is if you're looking at a card like Giannis, Kawhi, Anthony Davis, any of those rookies from those first 2 years of Prism, the answer is very simple. The silver is so valuable that you should be going for that if you can afford it. Most of us can't, but if you can, shoot for that. That being said, let's go into the more recent years because that's where it gets interesting. Because there's a split. Some people like silver, some people like the base. Which is better? So I decided to look back from January 1st to see which one is better. So since January 1st. So the first card I looked at is Luka because Luka's the main star in the NBA right now. If you looked at January 1st, you could have bought his card for somewhere around $225, $235. Today, it's currently selling for about $550 to $575. Getting pretty close to 600, guys. That is a little over 100%. But if you look at the silver, on January 1st, it was roughly $1,300 to $1,350. Today, it's $2,650. So that's about 100%. So the base has slightly outpaced the silver. And looking at it, it's a 5-to-1 ratio currently in that because it's still around the same for bases to silver, which I find very interesting because if you look at down to these other cards we're about to get into them in a few minutes, they are nowhere near that. They are closer to like 3-to-1. The next guy we are going to talk about is Trae Young, the other star from that draft class. In January 1st, you could buy his Prism for $75. Today you can get it for $200. That's a pretty good investment. But if you look at his silver, it goes from $400 on January 1st to $700 today. That's not even double. The base over doubled. So again, this is 2-0 that the base outperformed the silver in the past 5 months. Jason Tatum. Now this is an interesting card because this card blew up, both of them. The base and the silver have blown up in the past 5 months. If you were going to look to get his base on January 1st, it was roughly around $50. That's all it took to get a Jason Tatum base. Not silver. Blech. But today it's worth about $400. That's an 8x. The silver starts at $350, and today it's about $1,600. Now that's about a 4 to 5x. Not even close to the Jason Tatum base. So again, the base wins. Now at this point I'm pretty convinced, but I wanted to go through a few more examples. Donovan Mitchell, January 1st, $60. Today, $150. That is a 1.5 increase. And the silver, $350. Today, $400. Now, this is very interesting because you can go in a few different directions here. Looking at the ratios, you can very clearly see at the beginning of this year that Donovan Mitchell's base was completely undervalued compared to the silver, just looking at the ratios. But you could also look at it today and say, is the silver undervalued today? Maybe. But honestly, I don't think so. It's ratioed around with Tatum, around with Trae in that 3 to 4x. So I think it might be slightly undervalued, but not really too much compared to the base. Now last, we have Ben Simmons. This card I thought moved a lot more than it did, but it hasn't really moved up that much. In January 1st, it was $100. Today, it's $180. So that's, 80%. That's pretty good. In January 1st, the silver was $700. Today, it's $850. Now, for those of you who can't do the math in your head, which one's better? Ben Simmons, you could buy 7 for 1. Today, it's not quite that. Base won again. The base in this past 5 months have killed the silvers. Now, the question is, do you think it's going to continue? My opinion is yes. It will outpace the silvers. I believe this because the silvers are starting to get really expensive, especially like Luka's and Jason Tatum's. They're well over $1,000. Luka's is over $2,000. A lot of people can't afford that, and you're slowly but surely shrinking the market of people that can buy the card. Meanwhile, the bases for a lot of these guys are still pretty affordable, and as they continue to be more and more affordable, people are going to keep going for them, and the prices are going to go up that way. And especially with basketball resuming in the not-so-future, these cards are going to go up. All of them will. No matter. So my personal investing advice is to probably buy the bases at this point. If you want to snag a silver, it's probably not the worst idea, but I think you're better off just buying bases in bulk. You can probably get a little bit more of a deal that way, and you will make more money, in my personal opinion. So if you enjoyed this first episode of the podcast, I really do appreciate it. If you can hit that subscribe button if you're on YouTube, if you're on some other place, Make sure to follow the podcast. I really appreciate that. Leave a comment in the description. Let me know what I should talk about next, and I really appreciate it. So for next time, I'll see y'all later.